First of all, I think your analysis was very straight line. History doesn't run in a straight line.
Kid, you cannot tell your neighbor he is stealing ducks when you are stealing funds.
As High Commissioner, I was wrong. As Charandas Prasad, I reacted naturally how any person would have.
I did not come here for that kind of abuse. I did not come here for that kind of abuse. If you're going to go down that road, I'll walk off.
But it's all okay once they're talking. If they were talking, I could not have been here today.
You got ADHD.
I got that.
Calm down.
I think I've done enough in terms of taking our team out of trouble from losing.
Come on, Lou Taylor. That's good. I'm reading the script now, and the first person that comes to my mind to play a detective,
Yes,
but
the
an
Guyanese critic.
erratic
Mikhail
detective, is Mikhail Rodriguez.
Why an African slapping in yarn? Why a man and slap a woman? Look, how you deal with that? You deal with that.
We must encourage platforms like this because it brings together different people and allows for discussions to take place in our country on a multiplicity of fundamental issues.
Gildarie, you apologizing for something you think I did is wrong. I don't want you to do that, and you should not have done that.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome once again to the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon show, wherever you are. Good night, good morning to you. We coming to you 3 times a week. You could also get us on YouTube, Daybreak News, or Guyanese Critic. Tonight, as the country continues to grapple with the traumatizing, heart-wrenching, heartbreaking story of 19 persons in the prime of their life, students, adolescents, teenagers, killed in a horrific fire at Madhya Region 8. The country is continuing to mourn. It is as the second night in a stretch for this week. Freddie and I will be coming to you. We're trying to continue to pay our support, to lend our support to the people of Guyana, to the people of Madhya. The entire world is looking on at this. CARICOM has paid homage to those kids. They are lending their support as well. And the government has announced that they have toned down what was supposed to be our independence celebration, which is supposed to be over the weekend. In a short while, we will open the lines. And like Monday, we are going to be asking you to let us keep our comments with regards to the Madhya situation there. There are many things that are coming out from that incident that has so torn us inside. One of them, of course, would be the teenage or the person being accused, named, paraded in certain places by some of the media, the number of media houses and individuals. And there's a huge debate raging now about the identification of that alleged arsonist. At this point in time, the police has been decidedly, deliberately not saying anything much about that individual, except that there's a suspect and a file has gone to DPP. We're going to give you a little more on that. In the meantime, there was last night at the GUYANA'S, I think a number of the survivors, teenagers who were in the hospital, came for or who were flown out for medical interventions. They were at the GUYANA'S with a number of government officials and loved ones to for a night of mourning, for a night of reflection with regards to that incident. I'm going to pass it over to my co-host, Freddie Kissoon. It's a very sobering time for this country. In my time in recent years, we would have seen, of course, a younger generation would have experienced the Luzaknan and the Bartika massacres. And that was as close as it came to multiple deaths in a very unnatural way. This one here would tug at the heartstrings of people for a very, very long time because of what should not have been. Many questions to be asked, Freddie. Many more times there are going to be shows and talks and inquiries for us to get answers, not only about that incident that happened, but of other circumstances that are coming out of here with regard to safety and otherwise. When it comes to our public buildings, public facilities, and so on. So I'd stop here for the time being and let the conversation continue, and then we are going to have a few talks before we open our lines for the people of Guyana, wherever you are. So let us keep it very short and sweet as we talk a little about some of the developments that are coming out, what is coming from the authorities, what is coming out from the people in Madhya in itself. And you could feel free to call and lend your support as well. It's a very troubling time for our country, and we stand with the people of Madhya, of course, the people of this country and around the world, Guyanese, wherever you are, and of course those people who are standing in solidarity in mourning with us at this point in time. Freddie?
Good morning, or good evening, or good afternoon, wherever you are. Thanks for watching the program. This is our second call-in program on the Madhya tragedy. So please observe protocol as you did last Monday, and give your thoughts, reflections, express your anger at the topic for the evening. Secondly, I would like to embrace what the President has asked us to do, and I think he has in mind programs like these. He's asking callers not to say derogatory things or negative things about the victims or the survivors. And I think that is in order. I mean, 19 little children lost their lives, and you're going to call in and say, you know, this one used to do that and used to do. No, don't do that. Gildarie is operating the phones, and if you do that, I will ask Gildarie to cut you off. Thirdly, as you know, I announced on Monday, I do a daily column for the Chronicle, and my column today looked at people who have used the tragedy to knock the government. And I did say in that column, you could knock the government for all kinds of things. If the hospital, somebody goes into the hospital and they haven't been treated for 3 hours, you have a right to criticize the state and how it handles medical insurance. But you're going off into very, very hateful directions when you blame the government for what has happened. And there are Facebook posting, there are social media expressions that there's only one word to describe it: sick. A young lady, a young girl, 17 years of age, in a fit of anger, as happened in human nature. Homo sapiens, the species Homo sapiens is flawed. People do all kinds of things. They burn down buildings, they shoot their loved ones that they fell out with. How can you blame a government if a man and his wife had a domestic dispute and he burned down the building and killed his family? So how could you blame the government for that? There is a letter in today's papers by one of Mr. Glenlal's sidekicks, some guy called Jerry something, Dr. Jerry something, in which he's saying, yes, government must use the money to ensure their safety at these dormitories instead of spending money on electronic identification card. Now that is asinine and silly. If the government has money to use to safeguard schools and dormitory, it also has money for the Ministry of Education. It also has money for road building. It's not that it doesn't have money for the dormitories. It's not that it doesn't have money for schools. So how could he asininely juxtapose the two? Instead of spending money on electronic ID cards, spend it on dormitory. So is he saying that we don't have money for ID cards? Is he saying we don't have money to build roads, so you take that money? I mean, those are the kinds of things that you wish minds of this country would not express. But my plea to you this evening is, when we have other call-ins, you're quite free to say you don't think the government is doing well. You're quite free to say the crime situation must be under control and the government has to. But don't blame the president. Don't blame the government for the Madia Inferno. Look, there's one area of discussion last Monday I disagreed with, and I will disagree with it this evening. I believe people's houses should be secure with grill. I know of no house in my compound where I live that is not grilled. I went to Miami to look after my eyes and stayed at a friend's place whose windows were grilled. You know, they have some human beings that is very difficult to understand. You have 66 young girls in an area which is given to some kind of antisocial behavior by minors. You can leave windows open or windows not properly secured. People go through your window, rob you and rape you. Most countries in this house that are affordable by its owners have grill windows. If you don't have grill windows, people will come in and rob you and kill you. And it has happened thousands and thousands and thousands of times in this country, and thousands and millions of times worldwide. You got to secure yourself. People even cut your grill. They cut business people grill to get into their business. The question is what type of grill, and the question is the security. If you have a warden with keys to the grills, keys to the doors, and you have fire alarm, those are the issues you can talk about. But don't say that things should not be grilled. You know, I don't understand my own nationality, Guyanese. You have 66 young teenagers between 13 and 16 in an area far from where there's proper police presence. And you don't grill the windows. And people come in there and do bad things to those children. You know what you're going to hear? That place was not secure. How they could do that? How the people got so easily into the windows? Sometimes in this country, you just cannot win. So I disagree with that point. People could come tonight and say they should be grilled. What I do know is that if you go to Queenstown, Alberton, near the Alberton police station, if you look at the buildings near the Brickdam police station, the East La Penitent police station, look at all the houses near those police stations, and you will see they are grilled. So that's a part of the discussion Monday that I did not agree with. But the phone lines are on the screen. Our topic tonight is one of the saddest moments in the history of British Guyana and post-independence Guyana. It is a tragedy that I guess this generation now will remember for a long, long time to come. We just have a small population, and if that had occurred in a country with dozens of millions of people, it would have reached the news globally. And it would have been a horrible day for that nation. And we are just under 800 million, and to lose 19 kids in a fire, that is something that I think is going to live with this present generation for a long time to come. And I believe in our hearts that don't matter how financially strained we are, if there is a countrywide donation, countrywide effort at donation for those surviving students who are now patients in the hospital, we should give generously. No amount of comfort that we give to them for rebuilding or what have you could ever erase the trauma that they will, survivors and parents will have to live with. I hope there's a nationwide donation and we could all chip in, and those families and those survivors could live a beautiful future from 2023 onwards. I'll hand back to Gildarie.
Freddie, the conversation, I think the president has already said, and which is something that I liked, because I paid attention to that it doesn't matter what kind of help that is required by the family, and I presume the help that is expected of the state would have to be take care of all the funeral expense. That's a must. He said any financial and other resources. I know that very, very early from the onset, they were looking at getting counselors very, very quickly to the families and everybody, and even to the students who would have perished in that fire, the colleagues of those. But Freddie, the debate is always going to be raging around what should be and what should not be. And we got to start putting that in context also. It's a little early in the game, but that's a conversation that needs to be had. What do I mean by that? We got to remember in the 90s when the PPP took over power, Guyana had almost, I think, is 80 to 90% of its revenues going to debt servicing. Where are we at the moment? And so it has to be a gradual process in which you have more and more money to put into the essential things like roads, to put into education and health and so on. It's not an overnight something, and we have only about 8 years now discovered oil. So when you think about where do you put the money, it's always going to be, the debate is always going to be where do you put it. The government has a battle to always spread that money across the thing. Now I've seen the last 2 days people talking about the state of our dorms. I see the Minister of Home Affairs, Robertson Ben, says that there's going to be an intense review as to what is happening at the dorms across the country. But it's not only the dorms that are belonging to the schools, but there's medical dorms at hospitals, and so that has the same, the food is bad, the security is bad, the facilities, the toilet facilities and everything is bad. And these are things that we need to start paying attention to. Could we expect it to happen overnight? What kind of resources that needs to be put into it? It is always going to be a good expectancy by the people of Guyana to expect that the government of the day to fulfill the needs. But how fast or how realistic that's going to be, that is always going to be on the table. So we got to be realistic, but it is not unreasonable for the people of Guyana to say, look, we have a situation here and these things need to be looked into. But the government is going to be expected to step it up to another level. The people expect that. And this thing, this tragedy that has occurred is going to be a big eye-opener to the entire country. When it comes to the delivery of services, our contractors are expected. There's no excuses for not delivering when taxpayers' dollars are being paid. Our regulators, the engineers who oversee projects are expected to do their job. The designers of facilities, whether it's a dorm, whether it's a fire station, are expected to make them to world standards. We're spending good money. The government is putting billions and billions of dollars into these things. And we don't expect that there's going to be any substandard. I walk into the Grove Police Station, I think the Golden Grove Police Station and Diamond there. That's the Diamond Police Station, they call it. Freddie Kissoon, they build a world-class facility there for the police. But you got to see the condition of the yard. I would have expected it to be paved or at least concrete. You got to see what the commander is driving into. I didn't say anything, but I don't expect that you will go build a half police station and leave that. You walk into the police station, you walk from the sand, everything, the people got to be sweeping the police station ever so often. So these are things when it comes to design, regulating and everything that we have to pay attention to.
Look, I found out something the past week, almost a year on this program. And I found out something from this program, but it's also something I found out for 35 years in the media. Sometimes you got to beat your own drum in this country. I tell young people that all the time. If you don't beat it, nobody's going to beat it for you. I have got thousands and thousands of calls throughout my life as a human rights activist, as a political activist, about things that are wrong, and I'm still getting it. A guy said a couple years ago, he asked you for my phone number, and you give it to him. GUYANA'S car hit his vehicle, and nothing has been done. What I have learned from these programs and from my life, public life in this country, is that things happen, and presidents, whether it's a PNC or PPP, presidents from those governments get blamed for things that they don't know. I don't think the president knows that Guyanese vehicle right on this program hit a car of a woman who's single mother, and don't want to fix the lady car, and the police came in and said Guyanese is wrong. What this government needs to do, and I'm suggesting to it, have an office with these with 20 phone lines, and let people call in and state their problems, that a policeman insulted them and chased them out of the station. They waited 5 hours at Georgetown Hospital, and the person collapsed. Those kinds of things. You need a centralized place where people can call in these things. And what you do, that place, that building, that center, then send these things out for solution. Now, believe it, in the bad days of Mr. Burnham's rule, you had a program called Action Line, in which people call in and say what was happening to them, what was happening to the ward, and Action Line actually used to take those complaints down and fuel it. I think presidents and prime ministers and ministers of this country get blamed for things that they don't know about.
No, but
this guy that called you in and you give him my number. I can't understand why GUYANA'S GUYANA'S will fix the man car. No, you got to realize something. GUYANA'S and GUYANA'S, the money is not coming out of their pocket, so they're dilly-dallying fixing the people car. The state committed an error, the state corrected. And as we go on with this program and call in, you're going to get things that have been done to people. And I believe if Irfan Ali knows that Guyanese hit the lady car and don't want to repair it, and there's a single mother with 3 children, I know the man, I think he will pick up that phone and say, look, you hit this lady car, fix it. So you need some kind of invention, Gildarie, in a country like this. You need some kind of somebody invent something in which people could complain about things that should not happen to them, and those things are solved.
Like I said, Freddie, it's a wake-up call for Guyana. If we can't get it right now, we never get it right. We need to start disciplining ourselves and take this country to the next level. Because for too long, we take ad hoc kind of behavior. We take poor quality. We go in, poor service, poor customer service, and say, well, it's Guyana at the end of the day. Wake up and smell the coffee. We want to become a first world country. You got to start doing it. Let us see. Good evening, Carlo.
Hi, good evening, sir.
Good evening,
guys. Right. I would like to endorse every single thing that yourself and Freddie would have mentioned here in terms of the accusation and whatever. And I would also like to remind the general public that the thing that Freddie spoke about, when government vehicles or government entities hurt someone, it should be fixed. I could remember very clearly a presidential guard somewhere on the East Coast would have hit some woman's house, I think it was Pleasant, and damaged the house, and was dragging his foot not to fix anything. And Janet got involved immediately when she came back from the overseas visit and have that lady house fixed immediately. immediately. And not only fixed, her house was furnished with brand new furniture and everything. Another thing, I saw a political spin that is being played out by people like Ramjatan and the Sherrod Duncans and a whole bunch. I urge Freddie to really put it on his article. This is a time of mourning. We need healing.
I did that in my column today in the Chronicle. I did that today. I went after them today.
Okay, thank you very much, Freddie. Yes, and again, my heart goes out to each and every member of the family that would have lost their kids, and to the entire Guyana. I pray for Guyana. I pray for the world. I pray for everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Carlo.
I know that incident. I also know about an incident with President Janet Jagan, and the person complained to Dr. David Dabadine. We had him as a guest here, and he told President Jagan what had happened, like some state vehicle or something, and Mrs. Jagan took the information from David Dabadine and asked Dabadine to be the liaison, and they looked at...
I was looking at a video. There were some protesters, and the man says, and I showed that the president is probably not aware of that. They got people in various areas. Let me take this call, and I'm going to come back, and we're going to talk a little about that. Good evening, caller.
Good evening to both of you all.
Thank you. Go right ahead.
What I would like all Guyanese to know is to let us all nip it in the bud and stop this nonsense that we are doing. We have children who died, and we are making all kind of accusation against the government. It is so sad. Nip it in the bud.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Tk you very much.
I'm a Muslim.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Thanks for coming through.
I would like to donate $10,000.
Okay. When that starts, you will hear about it. I'm sure.
I think I think GCCI and a couple of them has bank accounts and so on that you could probably deal with that. I don't have.
We don't have that thing now, but I think it will be in the press.
But subsequently, I will get to know, and later I will do.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much.
I want the Guyanese to know to let us stop this nonsense. Nip it in the bud.
Okay, sir. Right.
Thank you very much. Bye. In cricketing terms, people would say it is our game to lose. And
in sports, they say that in general.
Yeah, our game to lose. And if as Guyanese, we don't realize that we have the game and we have a winning game, and it is because of our stupidity, our lack of courtesy, our discipline, we could throw it all away, this windfall that we have from oil and gas. Good evening, caller.
Good evening.
Go right ahead.
I'd first like to send my condolences to the families that lost the children in the fire. I've got a couple of comments to make. I don't know if you permit me to give me the time.
Yes, very quickly though.
All right. Almost every business or companies that open in Guyana has to have a fire code. Right? If I'm very sure that studio you're sitting in there doesn't have a fire code, doesn't have a fire extinguisher.
I'm looking around to see.
Right. You look around, you will see. You go to the fire station and you give the fire service a bribe. They don't even come to visit the facility to see. Or they tell you X amount of dollars, 200, 100,000, and we sign it up for you. So that is the kind of things we need to look at first. Exxon has come to Guyana with a certain standards. I happened to work with them when I was there. And one of the things is the priority. People will tell you who work with Exxon, 75% of their job is safety. Safety all the time. And I think that's the way we need to move in Guyana. Really need to move in. Safety is everything. You can't bend to pick up a piece of paper without the gloves on. You can't go into a building without a safety boots and the prerequisites for all these things. So I think that's the way we need to move. Now the final part is an open question to the public and to you. What you guys think about what should be done to the matron and the girl who they accuse of lighting the fire.
Thank you very much. I will answer that, and Freddie could probably... go ahead, Freddie.
No, if calls coming in, we give you...
Right.
There's something I want to touch on, but when we have time, if the calls come in...
We can go very quickly.
This thing, this tragedy, has stirred in my mind something that I think we have allowed the past 60 years to go unnoticed. People take the parapets next to the road and they put gardens on it, they plant palm trees in it. And I know for a fact that I saw the police, two guys had killed a GT&T technician in South Rumpel just for his phone. And they got word that they were held up by Turkine area there. And I saw the police truck, the police canter, could hardly maneuver because on the parapets throughout Guyana, people have put things on the parapets without realizing that the police vehicle, if they're chasing criminals, cannot drive on that parapet because you have big bulldozers and the fire engine. I think we should, very powerful people, both in politics with money, have done things to their parapet. This is what I think we should do, given that the call now is safety and easy facility that ensures safety in Guyana. People should lawnmower their parapets. People should architecture their parapets, but leave it open. Gildarie, you go on in this country and see what big palm trees on the parapet.
What you're talking
how the
about
police can maneuver.
Freddie, what you're talking about there is very, very simple. Everything is catered for in law, at least when it comes to who the government reserves belong to, and what should be done with it, and what you cannot do. You know what the problem we have in this country? Two major problems that I'm going to say it. One, we believe that mediocrity is the order of the day, and we accept it and we don't demand better. And I'm talking as a country as a whole. There are people who fight against it. The second thing, when it comes to regulation, our enforcement is a major issue here. There are laws, Freddie Kissoon, for everything.
I take what you say, but you got another problem. And this problem is carcinogenic. This problem is not going to be easy. The police, the Minister of Public Infrastructure, said things should be removed from the parapet. And I immediately jumped on him with a column saying, fine, remove those things on the parapet, like the boys selling food in the thing, the boys washing cars. But it must go all over. It must go for the trillionaires, the billionaires, the politicians, everybody.
Thank you very much.
That is the problem we have, Gildarie. They're going to go and move the lady on the parapet selling her dog food, and a man outside his home has 3 nice palm trees on the parapet.
It has to be across the board and even-handed. That's what you're saying.
That's the problem we
have. Good evening, caller.
Hi.
Yes, go right ahead, sir.
A very good evening.
Good evening.
I don't want to shift the conversation away from what the panel is dealing with.
Don't shift it, please.
But I'm trying to, I will try not to. But I just wanted to look at something. Next year, Guyana will be celebrating 34 years, if I'm correct, of Republic in Guyana. It's something that our country enjoys. The truth about it is that these events, so this art, one of the biggest art form in Guyana, is only started, it started before 2 months.
What is the connection you're coming up to? The topic, sir? The topic is one of Guyana's immense tragedies. That is what we're asking callers to call in on. Are you calling in on the tragedy, sir?
Well, the truth about it never happened. How is it? Let me straight from there to this. How is it then? In a dormitory, we have 52 students or 59 students have one mother. to look after 50 something.
We don't know that. Do we know that?
I don't know that.
We don't know that. There's a lot of rumors going out there. I have to wait because we don't know that. I find it unacceptable that this government or any institution would put one dorm mother there. I'm almost sure there are other people who would be under hard supervision.
It never happened. Let me be realistic. Even if this person who they claim that light this fire, how this person escaped out of the fire and this dormitory was locked?
That is a good question, and we don't know all of that. So I am hoping to have an investigation. There's an inquiry into this entire thing. Who was in charge? How many persons they had there? Were they councillors? Were the gates locked? I understand that the ministers and the Minister of Home Affairs indicated that none of the doors were grilled. So were the doors locked? I don't know that.
However, I would like to see Guyana in the whole, implement a new law, a safety law, that within the next 3 months, because of this tragedy, and because of this tragedy here, this nation should pick up the mantle to hold safety force. So I would like to see a new law that every home, not government institution alone, it should be every home, every place in this country should have fire safety as the priority, as number one in this country.
I'm almost sure the regulations has those it is catered for in the regulations, but I'm gonna put on the phone within a short while our national security advisor. He wants to have a say. Let us end this call here and bring him on so we could be able to have his input, and maybe he was on the ground on Sunday night when this thing would have happened, and he would give us some insights. We could probably ask him some questions. So Captain Jerry Gildarie, how are you doing?
I'm all right.
All right. Good night to you, sir. Good night to you. Our national security advisor, his Roraima areas was the areas that was triggered by the president to do the emergency evacuations, and they had to fly through some terrible weather. Captain, could you give us? We could stay with you, and we have some questions for you, but you have a couple of things to say, and then we take it from there.
All right, guys, thank you very much. I actually just came out to Maria. I spent the last 2 days on the ground as part of a presidential task force. When I got in there, myself and the president got in there early in the morning the next day. And what we saw and discovered was it was horrific, really. And but I want to tell you that the Maria as a actually had rapid development, and I think the development at Maria, because when I started flying 40 years ago, going into Maria was really the boonies. You couldn't drive a vehicle. There were no paved roads. There was no electricity, and the development of Maria accelerated tremendously over the last couple of years. And I believe that the infrastructural things necessary, the fire service, did not stay. And I need to catch up. They need to catch up with the development that is happening across the country. And so, hello?
Yeah, you go ahead. You go right ahead, Captain.
Yes. So the fire service need to up their game in the rural communities. In Georgetown, for example, President Ali had a task force that dealt extensively with fire hydrants, the refurbishing of fire hydrants to ensure, and that was something that went on for almost 2 years. And Major General Joe Singh was actually helping to spearhead that. So the president is very aware that these are areas that was weak and needed needed attention. Now, the attention that we need to pay in the outlying areas at Lethem, at Bartica, at Port Kaituma, at Mabaruma, at Camarang, because a lot of times we still see those areas as far-flung areas in the hinterland. But those places are actually, their development and their modernization is happening quicker than I believe that we are able to catch up with it, but we need to do it now. That's the first thing. The issue with the dormitory, this has actually been going on for a long time. But just to tell you that this is a building where you had rooms, and each room housed about maybe 4 or 5 girls, maybe 6 girls, students. And so one big building, and you had the rooms inside, and at one end of the building was the room where the dorm mother stayed. So, and it's not unusual to have one dorm mother, because all she was there to do is ensure that the girls keep their rooms clean, that they go to bed when they should and wake up when they should. There were 2 security guards on the outside of the building. And basically, in any dorm with students at that age, they were prohibited from having cell phones. And then when the time come at 9 o'clock at night, they actually closed the building down to make sure that, just like when you lock up your house, you lock up your house so that your children and up at night and going outside. And so what the dorm mother did, when she at 9 o'clock, they locked the doors from the inside, and she's on the inside. So where you have rooms, the room doors are not locked. So you can move from one room to the next room, but to get out of the main building that is the door that the dorm mother would have locked and had possession of the keys in the building. So when the fire was set, and so first of all, it's not unusual to have one dorm mother in there, basically overlooking the welfare of the girls in that dormitory, in that section, because there was a male dormitory and a female dormitory. So that is not, and even the fact that she would lock the building up, lock up your house at night, so your children don't get up and open the door and go outside. So they went to bed. Now the allegation that we are hearing and the information we'll be hearing is that when the young lady, they found this young lady with the phone, and they took away the phone from her. The allegation is that she became very agitated, and she made the threats of what she was going to do. Nobody took her serious or believed that she would do anything. So they all went to bed. And now, where the mother is on one end of the building, the far end, and you had the rooms along the building going to the back where the toilet is. And the fire actually started close to the toilet area. Now, the roof of the building, a lot of buildings now in Guyana is being built with these PVC ceilings, and it looks very nice. But it seems to me that people may have to rethink this PVC ceiling that is selling.
It's quick on the fire. It's fuel to the fire.
That's right. So all over Guyana, you have this ceiling going up in houses and buildings and so on. And so when the fire was lit, I believe that the fire service would tell us better. They probably got to the roof, and they did the investigation. So they will tell us exactly what they find. But what I will tell you is that so the girls apparently was trying to out the fire. They were all banding together and trying to out the fire. And when they couldn't get the fire out, then they ran. By the time they were spreading. And the other thing about this is that where the building is located, it's not located in the central part of Maria where there's a lot of traffic at night. This was more of a kind of a little remote area where it was private. And so when this thing started, there was not a lot of people on the outside other than the security guards. And then the girls went to try to get the mother to wake her up. And they went to her room, and they woke her up. Now, she woke up a little bit dazed. She got the keys, but she couldn't find the right key, apparently, to open the lock, and then the keys fell. By that time, the fire started to rage in the building, and people, the dorm father from the other dorm apparently, and so other people came to the building, and then I think they kicked one door in, and they tried kicking on the other doors. So there was no grill on the doors, but the door was locked from the inside, where the dorm mother is. And unfortunately, that's how she lost her son, because in trying to help and find the keys, her little baby son actually ended up being consumed by the fire, unfortunately. And so this was a very unfortunate event that happened there that night. And I wanted to just share that with you. For people who are, may have somebody is saying, the building was locked from the outside, that the children was locked in from the outside. And that is not true. The building was locked from the inside, and there are 3 or 4 doors, big doors. But unfortunately, because these were young teenage girls, they were basically protecting them at night after their time to make sure nobody leave the building.
So, Captain. Captain, I got 2 immediate questions for you. If the dorm mother was trying to out the fire and she was involved with that, we're hearing.
No, she was not trying to out. She was not trying to out the fire. She was trying to open the door.
And she was able, one of the persons, to have escaped. Do we know what happened to the alleged arsonist?
Yes, she actually got out to the building. She was one of the first that got out to the building.
And I presume there's some questions. I think